So this business of purpose of life, finding your sweet spot. Now, this is, this may sound like um, pop psychology and mumbo jumbo, but this is something which is very, very, very real, very meaningful. That there is a sweet spot that all of us have. There is this whole thing about flow or peak performance, which I'm sure everybody here would have experienced sometime. For some of us, we experience it many times, but everybody would have experienced it sometime, isn't it? That peak, when you feel you are at your peak performance, you're in flow, or if you do sports, you say you are in the zone, isn't it? Isn't it? Can somebody describe it? Somebody wants to share that? Being in the zone, what does that feel like?
So then I'll talk
Nobody.
about tennis. I'll talk about tennis or squash. Either one. When you're really playing well, when you're really in the zone, I find two things happen in inside the game. Is one, all of a sudden I can see the ball incredibly well.
Yeah.
It got bigger, all of a sudden. And the other is the game just slows down. You're just so focused.
You're in
and
the moment.
You're really in the moment. The game is you're seeing the game, you see the ball, and the game is just slowed down.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Anybody else in the zone? Peak movements? Could be sports, but doesn't need to be sport.
Then I would say that when when you're in the moment, it's almost like an adrenaline surge. You literally feel more, not just more focused, but an increase in the energy which propels you forward.
There's a surge of energy. Yeah, absolutely. It becomes easy, isn't it? Effortless.
Yeah.
You're able to do difficult things very easily. Yeah, as John said, that you see the ball very clearly. And John, Shailaja, others, how does this happen? When does this happen?
When you have
I find it
positive
happens
mindsets.
more. Yeah, I was going to just say, and I could use the same description of being in the zone when we're in the room with a client. All of a sudden, the room slows down. I'm seeing what we need to do correctly. I feel on top of my game. It's the same feeling. There's nothing like it. I find it happens more often than not when I am really adequately prepared, focused, and relaxed. I'm ready to go.
Very, very important set of things that you said. Do you mind saying those again?
Yeah, sure. It happens more often than not when I can pin back to it. I'm prepared, I'm focused, and I'm really relaxed because I'm prepared and focused.
And you're enjoying yourself as well, isn't it?
It's the best. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Kunal, you wanted to make a point?
Yes, I'm saying that when we are at a positive mindset and we have this strong, a strong kind of mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When you're feeling positive. Yeah. It's also a bit of a chicken and egg, isn't it, Kunal, that you feel positive, you do better, and you feel positive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nathan, this Deepak here. So I strongly agree
Hi,
with
Deepak.
you. Start enjoying yourself. You don't feel tired. Majorly, you don't feel exhausted. Once that's for me. When I'm in my zone.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, everybody knows this thing. Everybody in different aspects. For somebody it may be singing. Somebody it may be while you're dancing. Somebody it could be you are you're doing gardening, for all of us, we have our zones, yeah, we have our sweet spot. When we are lifted to when we are flowing, there is very little friction. We are flowing, and we are at a very high level of performance, and yet that performance is seemingly effortless. It is coming easy, yeah. So in kind of learning and growth, there are these four phases. These are unconscious incompetence, which is you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, that you're pretty poor, but you don't even know about it. And then there is the next phase, which is conscious incompetence, which is the beginning of learning. When you know that you are not good, but at least you're aware of it. So if you're aware of something, you start focusing on it. So what would be the third phase? If unconscious incompetence is first, conscious incompetence is second, what would be the third phase?
Conscious and competent.
Conscious competence. Yeah, conscious competence, that you're playing the stroke, but you are very, very deliberate about it. Very deliberate. You're aware that, okay, this is how my hand is moving. This is the angle at which it makes contact with the ball. You're conscious and you're competent. Yeah. Is there a fourth phase?
Unconscious competence.
Unconscious competence. Unconscious competence. That's Roger Federer, isn't it?
Yes.
It's kind of natural, isn't it? That's a natural. That's flow, isn't it? Flow. That's flow. That's being in the zone. Now look, there is enough science and research that has happened that, look, this is not bullshit. This is not just kind of, loosey-goosey stuff. This is scientifically proven. Of course, our yoga and our the Indian traditions have been talking about this for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. This whole notion of flow and dhyan and samadhi and all of that. But science is now really, there is a ton of research that has happened, which proves this notion. Yeah, that you can be in the zone. You can, and it is something you can work towards, and it helps you raise the performance and impact dramatically. Now, what is, how do you think about it? Yeah. So this is a very super simplified framework for it. There is a little more developed framework which is called Ikigai. Have folks here heard of Ikigai, the Japanese framework? Yeah, you should check it out. It's definitely worth understanding. This is a simplified version of Ikigai, that it's about your passions, it's about skills, and it's about the right opportunity. Yeah, and those three things come together. The starting point tends to be passion, something you enjoy doing, something which you feel excited about. But make no mistake, just passion doesn't result in anything. Okay, it is anybody who says just follow passion and everything will follow that's bullshit. Okay, passion have to be supplemented by discipline, a lot of hard work to build and fine tune your skills that you're passionate about. Yeah. So just passion alone are like this candle light, in a stormy night. You can light the candle, but it will flicker and it will die away if it is not reinforced. Yeah. Passions need reinforcement, and that is the discipline, the persistence, the hard work to really keep at it and build those great skills. Yeah. And that's the fuel which keeps on feeding the fire. Yeah, that's the fuel. Yeah. And finally, it has to be in the context of an opportunity in serving a real need. Yeah, serving a real need, something which is meaningful. Yeah, which, John's thing about an important client presentation. Would you get to the same peak performance if the client was not there? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Because when it is something meaningful, something which is relevant, which the world needs, and you have something to contribute, it's kind of the third piece of the puzzle. And when these come together, that's your sweet spot. That's when flow happens. Then that's when you have the peak performance. Now, for long, the whole, as you think about growth, as you think about as young professionals looking to build a career, a lot of the conversation, a lot of the the messaging or scripting from your parents, from elders, from the ecosystem is all about scarcity and is all about risk. Yeah. If you don't do this, at least when I was growing up, it was very much the case that if you don't become an engineer or a doctor, then you're basically done. Okay, and then it was okay as an engineer, you better go to IIT. And then it was okay in IIT, you better do well academically, otherwise you'll not get a job. And then it was okay, you have to do an MBA, and then after MBA again, it was always driven by this sense of scarcity. So as a result, you didn't really pause to think about, hey, what do I really like? What do I really want to do? You were always getting pushed into or moving into something which was safe, something which would make sure that you will stand on your legs, you will make a good living. Yeah. And this notion of what do you really enjoy doing was like a very secondary notion, very, very secondary notion. Yeah. So, for example, my favorite subjects were history. And I was really passionate about sports, but I ended up becoming an engineer. And I think I'm a pathetic engineer. All my in my first year, all the classes which were about engineering drawing or the workshop, I bunked all of those classes because I just don't like working with my hands. But engineering was the thing to do, and I became an engineer. Thank God for MBA that at least that's kind of stuff which I enjoyed more naturally. But I'm just sharing my own example with you, and I suspect that a lot of people are here are engineers, but I don't know how many are really enjoy being engineers. But in the digital age, when the opportunities are so abundant, you have the opportunity to do your thing. Yeah, do your thing and to define your sweet spot. Because when you do that, you're operating at a very different level of performance. Yeah. This whole notion of that all of us have abundant potential within ourselves and we're only tapping into a small fraction of that potential. You can debate, what number that is. Is that 10% or 20% or 1% or a fraction of 1%? We can debate that. But I think everybody here would agree that there is a lot more we can do and achieve in life. Yeah. And we're only operating at a small proportion of that. And when there is something which sparks us, and that is and backed up by where we have invested in building the skills and there is a real opportunity, we can do great things. Yeah. And in the digital age, my submission is that's the way to think. That's very, very possible.